Okay, good morning everyone in Chazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Tuesday morning as we are studying together Perashat Shofetim. Today's class is sponsored anonymously for the Refuah Shlema of all of Am Yisrael. Perashat Shofetim, my friends, is a very packed parasha, very deep, a lot going on. Every pasuk is another commandment, another idea, and a lot to talk about. But I would like to talk today about a very, very interesting idea, the concept of a king. Okay, so please fast forward to chapter 17, pasuk 14. The pasuk says, Ki tavo el haaretz, when you will come to the land of Israel, and you will settle in it, ve'amarta, and you will say, Asima alai melech kechol hagoyim. You know what? I think I want to have a king. I want a king. Asima alai melech kechol hagoyim. Sorry, one second. Okay. Asima alai melech, I want to have a king. Kechol hagoyim, like all of the nations around me. So what's the response? What's God's answer? Are we allowed to have a king? Anything wrong with a king? Says the pasuk, Som tasim alecha melech. Yes, then place for yourselves a king, someone that God will choose. Mikerev achecha, someone from amongst your brothers. Right? Tasim alecha melech. Lo tuchal latet lecha ish nochri. It can be someone who's not Jewish. Right? There's laws of who could be the president. Yeah? There's laws of who could be the king. Yeah? It has to be a homebred. Rak lo yarbelo susim. And there has to be certain rules and restrictions for this king. He can't have many horses. Lo yashiv ta'am Mitzrayma, so that he shouldn't bring you back to Egypt. Lo yarbelo nashim. He can't have too many wives because they will stray his heart. He can't have too much money. Right? And he has to have not one but two Sefer Torahs. Okay? One of them that he keeps in his closet, and one of them that he takes with him wherever he goes. Okay? So, this is an interesting topic, okay? Having a king. Now, let's see what Rabbi Mizrahi over here has to say. Okay? Al derech hapshat, on a simple level, zo mitzvat aseh, this is a positive commandment. Shehiyeh beYisrael melech. Okay, we're commanded here to make a king. The same way you're commanded to take a lulav, and the same way you're commanded to listen to a shofar, there's a commandment to appoint a king. Veshalosh mitzvot nitztavu Yisrael, and we were commanded 3 commandments when we enter Israel. Number 1, limnot nahen melech, to make a king. That's a positive commandment, to appoint a king. Like it says, Som tasim, like we just read, place for yourselves a king. Number 2, what's the second commandment when we enter Israel? Lehachrit zar'o shel Amalek, to wipe out the seed of Amalek. Okay? And number 3, to build a house for God, like it says, Leshichno tidreshu ubata shama. Okay? 3 commandments: to have a king, to wipe out Amalek, and to build a house for God. Okay? Now, and each one, right, has an order. First you have to have the king, right? And then you have to wipe out Amalek. And then you will have to build a house for God, right? The order has to be that precise order. Vehine, however, he says, Mitzvah zol datam shel Yisrael. This commandment of having a king is actually, over here, according to Rabbi Mizrahi, he says it's God preceding the Jewish people, anticipating the future. He knows that in the future we're going to ask, and therefore he said ahead of time, okay, so do it, right? Lo ledato shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This idea of a king, says Rabbi Mizrahi, he says it's not really God's idea. God didn't really want it. He only said it because he knew we wanted it. He said, I know the future, and I know that in the future you're going to ask for a king, so go ahead and make for yourselves a king. Kind of like sending the spies. God didn't need us to send spies. We wanted to send spies, so God said, okay, so send spies. This is the opinion of Rabbeinu Bahye. Ki hu yitaleh hamelech, because really for us as Jews, who's the real king? The real king is Hashem. No one could beat Hashem, right? Hu yitaleh hamelech. He's in and out of our daily lives. He could see everything. He could oversee everything. Who could protect us better than God? Right? Obviously, there's no one better than Hashem as the king. However, Zeh Ha'am, the people, right? Asher Adon HaKol Meleko, that we have Hashem as our king. We chose a regular flesh and blood. This is the opinion of Rabbeinu Bahye. Very interesting. Why is it interesting? And why does he say this? If you look, fast forward, I want you to go to the story in Shemuel, okay? In the book of Samuel, I will open it up as well. Book of Shemuel, chapter 8. Okay? Vayi ka'asher zaken Shmuel, the pasuk says that one day Shmuel was getting older, and his children were Shofetim. His children were the judges. His children were in charge, okay? Calling the shots. Velo halchu banav b'drachav, but the people weren't going in the right path of God. They said, listen, Shmuel, they came to him, they said, Shmuel, hine ata zakanta, you're getting old, and your children are unfortunately, as we would say today, off the derech, right? Ata, and therefore, sima lanu melech, please give us a king, leshoftenu kechol hagoyim, to judge us like the nations. Unfortunately, we don't want your son. Your sons are not okay. They're not righteous. They accept bribes, they're tricky, whatever, they're corrupt. We don't want your kids. We love you, Shmuel, nothing personal, but it's not a family business. Your kids are not okay. Your kids need to be removed, and we want instead a king. Now, what would be Shmuel's response to this? Oh, Shmuel should say, I remember reading in the Torah that this would happen one day. God already wrote 500 years ago that this is going to happen. The people are going to ask for a king, and here it is. And Shmuel should acquiesce. Shmuel should just simply say, okay, great, here's the process. Going to give you a king. He has to be Jewish. He cannot have too many horses. He cannot have too many wives. And he can't take you back to Egypt. And he has to be very humble. And he has to have 2 Sifrei Torahs. That's what Shmuel should have said. But that's not what Shmuel said. Look at the response. Vayera hadavar be'enei Shmuel. Shmuel is very distraught when they said, Tena lanu melech. Vayitpa'el el Hashem. He started praying to God. He was so sad. You know, when you're in life, if you ever get hurt, sometimes you're down. You ever feel down? No, not you. No one here. Yeah, I'm sure you've all had down days, right? It seems like things aren't going your way. You just feels like everyone's against me today. I'm not getting the respect I deserve, the appreciation that I deserve, the honor that I deserve. I feel like I'm doing so much for others and others aren't doing for me, right? Shemuel, he had a tough time hearing this. So what did he do with his pain? He prayed. Nice thing to do when you're in pain. Pray. Start talking to Hashem. Vayomer Hashem lo Shmuel. God says back to Shmuel. Let's see God's response. Because if I'm God and Shmuel's crying to me, I would say to Shmuel, what would you say if you're God? Hey, Shmuel, relax. It's okay. They ask for it, and I want them to ask for a king. I already wrote in the Torah. Did you forget what you read, Shmuel? That there's going to be one day a king? What is God's response? God says, Shmuel, listen to them. Ki lo otcha ma'asu. And don't be sad, because it's not you whom they're despising. Ki oti ma'asu. They're actually despising me from being a king over them. Don't take it personal, Shmuel. It's not you, it's me. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me. If anyone should be sad, God's saying it should be me. So says Rabbi Bachya, whoa, what in the world? Why is Shmuel sad? Why is God sad? Isn't it in our parasha? We just read it. Place on yourselves a king. Som tasim alecha melech. But it says Rabbi Bachya, but that's what I just told you. This wasn't Hashem's original plan. God did not want a king. It's not the ideal scenario. He wrote it here, anticipating that it's going to happen. But deep down, the people should never want a king of a human king of flesh and blood. The people should be so excited that we have God as the king. You have God. Who needs a person? Who needs Shaul? Who needs a man? But God says, I know, this is human nature. It's not easy to always live with the king in his palace. How many people have a sigh of relief when Yom Kippur is over? Right? Thank God. Hashem's back up where he belongs, in his cage, in the heavens. right? What do you mean? What a gift that Hashem came down. My friends, tomorrow night, Elul is coming. What an exciting opportunity that Hashem is Basadeh, Melech Basadeh, the king is coming down. Hashem's coming into our lives even more. Isn't that an amazing, exciting day, opportunity? Elul is such an awesome time. Yeah? And unfortunately, people, they see it the wrong way. When Elul comes, they're walking on eggshells and they're hoping, I just can't wait for Sukkot to come, where we could get Hashem back where He belongs, up in the heavens, right? It's sometimes it's not easy to live with the King, right? It's a crazy thing, but if you think about it, it makes sense a little bit. I have to always be on my best behavior. I want to just be, right? I want to just be mediocre. I just want to be average. I don't want to have to be amazing. I want to be average. Sometimes average is nice. So that's what the people say. We just want a regular king. So what did they do? They gave, who was the first king? Shaul. Yeah, Shaul. Right? And really, a king is not ideal. This is Rabbi Bachya's point. This is the gist. He brings a few psukim from Hosea. Hem himlichu velo mimeni. They appointed a king, but it wasn't my idea. Or another pasuk. Eten lecha melech be'api. I'll give you a king with my anger. Right? You want a king? Here's a king. So you see from these psukim, says Rabbi Bachya, that ultimately the idea of a king is not Hashem's idea. It came from the people. Tzei then go out and look. What came from the kings of Israel? What came from the kings? Shaul, he fell in Gilboa. David, he brought a plague. Thousands of people died. Right? Achav brought down famine. 3 years of no rain. Tzidkiyahu, he brought the temple to be destroyed. So the kings didn't do well historically. Right? Kings is not a good thing. Even David HaMelech, who was the best king. In general, kings is not a good idea. Right? Now, this is Rabbeinu Bachya. There is a very, very powerful, and I want to share this with you, Kli Yakar. Okay? Kli Yakar, a commentary on the Torah a few hundred years ago. And look what he says over here. He begins again asking the question that Im haya retzon Hashem, if it's God's will, shel tzedek yimloch melech, that we should appoint a king. So why in the times of Shmuel, when they finally asked for one, why was Hashem so upset? Why was Shmuel the prophet so upset? Okay, different answers to those questions he brings. Some say, right, he brings the Rabbeinu Bachya that we just saw, that it's telling you the future, right? Now, ve'omer ani dati, and he says, in my opinion, says the Kli Yakar, sheharatzon ha'eloki haya sheletzedek yimloch melech alehem kedei lehatil mora'o al kulam. The idea of a king is a good idea, but it depends why you want a king. Says the Kli Yakar, originally the ideal situation of a king is so that he should impose and instill fear amongst the people. Our rabbis say, we read this yesterday in Pirkei Avot, Heveh mitpalel b'shloma shel malchut. Pray, always pray for the welfare of the government. Pray for peace in the government. Because if there's no fear, if there's no government, if there's no authority, then there's chaos. It's very important to have fear of government. When there's fear, people stay in their place. People do what's needed. A king's job is to instill that fear, to make sure that everyone's behaving. Right? If you don't have speed cameras, everyone's going to speed. Right? Policemen, they're important. They're needed. They instill order. That's the king's job. Not to decide the laws. Because that's what a court is for. A court is to decide the law. Right? But it's that idea to lead the people to victory, to protect them, and to enforce the laws, to instill order in the country. And that's what Hashem wanted. That's what God wanted from a king. Right? Remember what Moshe said to Joshua. Right? You're going to bring the people into Israel, and as a leader, hit him on the head. Right? Hit him on the head. What does it mean, hit him on the head? It means be in charge. Guide them. You call the shots. That's what a king's job is to do, to call the shots. And that's what it means. The wording, look at the wording. Som tasim alecha, on you. A king is good when it's a king on you. To guide the people, to lead the people. But says the Kli Yakar, unfortunately, that's not what ended up happening. They didn't ask for a king on us. What did they say? Tena lanu melech. Says the Kli Yakar, if you want to understand the difference between a good king and a bad king, it comes down to one word. Is the king on us or is the king for us? God's plan of a king is a king on us. That's the right type of king. A king who's on us is a king who's going to tell us exactly what needs to be done. But that's not what the people ask for. You know what people ask for? People ask for a king for us. Because there's a huge difference, my friends, between on and for. On means he tells me what to do. For means we tell him what to do. And the people ultimately wanted a king. They really wanted a puppet. They were really saying, Shmuel, give us someone and we'll tell him what to do. And in life, it's very important that the leaders have the ability to do what needs to be done, to say what needs to be said. That's the only way a community grows. Whether it's the rabbi or a parent in the house, or it's the president of a country or the king. When we believe in someone, right? Just think for a second, imagine a nutritionist and you go in and they tell you, listen, you need to do these 5 things to lose weight, right? And then you go to the nutritionist and say, listen, I don't know, this list doesn't fit my schedule. First of all, eating after 8 p.m., I eat after 8 p.m. I need to do that. Let's cross that one off. And what else did you write here? Only meat once a week? No. I like 4 or 5 times a week. We're going to cross that one off. And as well, you wrote about carbs, right? Just imagine you're going to dictate to the nutritionist what you're allowed to do. You're never going to lose weight. To lose weight, you have to follow their program, not your program. The reason you look like you do is because you're following your program. If you want to change, you got to stop following your program and stop following someone else's. And ultimately, a king's job, a leader's job, is to lead. To lead means this is the way. This is what's right. The people didn't want a leader. People wanted a puppet, a follower from in front. That's what they wanted. This pasuk says in the Navi, "Ki siftei kohen yishmeru da'at v'torah yivakshu piha." We have to seek from the kohen Torah. Go to the kohen, ask him to teach you. Right? That was the rabbi. Back then it was the kohen. And then the pasuk ends off, "Ki malach Hashem tzvakot hu," because he is the angel of God. Go to a rabbi, go to the kohen, because he's an angel of God. And the Gemara says, the Gemara learns from these words, only go to a rabbi if he's like an angel of God. Don't go to a rabbi if he's not like an angel of God. What does that mean, that my rabbi should be like an angel? What does that mean? He should be like an angel. He should wear white all day. He should drink Red Bull to fly. What does that mean? What does it mean my rabbi should be like an angel? But listen to this. Your rabbi to be like an angel means, an angel, what is an angel concerned with? Only one thing and one thing only. What does God want? What does my creator want? An angel isn't concerned, what will other angels say? They don't care. Angel goes straight. Osim retzon konehem. They do the will of their creator. In life, like an angel, we have to do what's needed. We have to know what's right. What's right and do it. Can't bend. Can't follow. Right? We can't be wishy-washy. A real leader is someone who's in charge. That's a rabbi. That's a rabbi. If you're going to go to a rabbi and he's going to tell you what you want to hear, he's going to tell you it's fine if you're doing this, keep doing it. And if you're doing that, it's fine. And everything that you're doing is fine. So what's the point? You're just serving yourself. What do you need a rabbi for? If everything that you're doing, the rabbi is just going to tell you it's okay, so what do you need a rabbi for? Just to keep doing it and it's okay. We need a rabbi to tell us what's not okay. You don't hire a coach to tell you you're doing good. You hire a coach to yell at you and to tell you that your swing is no good and to break it down, right? Imagine you hire a coach and all he's okay, good. What do you mean good? I'm hitting the net, I'm hitting it over. Tell me what's not good. Yeah? It's very interesting pasuk. You know, there's one pasuk that says you're not allowed to plant an asherah. Don't worship the tree. Remember the asherah tree? Can't worship a tree. And then next to it, there's another pasuk. It says, don't accept bribes. You can't bribe judges. What is the connection between a tree and bribing a judge? But I think it's very beautiful. You know, a tree moves in the wind. Wind comes, blows this way, blows that way. A rabbi moves with money. Rabbi moves with money. They say a joke of a judge. He was deciding a case between two litigants. So the next day he comes and he says to the two lawyers, he's sitting with the two lawyers, he looks at the first lawyer, he says, you gave me a $10,000 bribe yesterday. He looks at the other lawyer, he says, and you gave me a $5,000 bribe yesterday. And therefore, I'm going to give you back, lawyer number one, $5,000. So this way I'm not biased and I could judge the case correctly. Right? This way it's fair. So a person who's going to get bribed, a judge who accepts money, if a rabbi is bribed by money, he moves with money, so too a tree, right? Can't bend in life. Sometimes you can't bend. And you have to know when. That's the challenge of being a parent, is knowing when to bend and when not to bend. When to say and when not to say. You can't say everything, you can't say nothing. You got to pick your battles, right? As a rabbi of a community, a rabbi can't come in on day one and say everything, but he can't say nothing. Got to know. It's difficult. It's not an easy question. But if the leaders are just going to close their eyes and say, hey, do what you like, Chazak Baruch, everyone, amazing, you guys are great, just keep doing what you're doing. What do you mean keep doing what you're doing? So what'd you bring a rabbi for? What'd you bring a leader for? What do we have a king for? A king's job is to be that voice on top, guiding us, telling us what to do. That's what we need a king for. The Pasuk says in Shir HaShirim, Im chomahi nivne aleha tirat kasef, ve'im deleti natsur aleha luach harez. That if you want silver, if you want gold, if you want something precious, it's got to be built on a wall. If it's a delet, if it's a door, you can't build on a door. What's the difference between a door and a wall? A door and a wall is very different. A wall is where it is, it stays, doesn't move. A door, which way does the door go? Whichever way you want it to. If a leader is going to be like a door, if a leader is just going to go with the tide, with the times, going with the direction that the poles indicate, if a leader is going to just really follow the people, what's public appeal? What do the people want? That's not a leader. You can't build a country on that. A leader is someone who says, this is ridiculous. This is, right? I can't just let people do what they want. That's not a way to build a country. Right? It's not a way to build a family. It's not a way to build anything. You got to be a choma. Avraham said, Ani choma. Avraham said, I'm a wall, build on me. Avraham didn't follow the trend. Avraham didn't go with the people. Avraham did what was different. Avraham knew what was right. This is stupid what you guys are doing. This is ridiculous. What kind of policy is that? That doesn't make sense. Can't help people. That's not a way to live. Avraham, he's called Ivri. Ever Nahar, he was on the other side. He did what he knew was right. In life, my friends, every one of us, we got to do what's right. We got to do what is deep down right. Every one of us knows deep down what we should be doing. Sometimes we're ready, but we don't. You know why? We don't do something because what will people say? How many of us live our lives because of what will people say? What will they say? We have weddings because of what will people say. We go vacation in certain places because if not, what will people say? We go into debt to go maybe places in the summer because if not, what will people say? And we live our lives and we ruin our lives because we have to keep up to par, because if not, what will people say? Or we will say if I stop playing on Shabbat, even though I feel ready to stop playing on Shabbat, but what will people say? If I stop eating in that restaurant, they'll start calling me religious, and what will people say? I can't have people calling me those names. I gotta be normal, I gotta be part of the community, I gotta be mainstream. What will people say? I need to be like I gotta be normal. And how many people live their lives because of what will people say? And ultimately we have to remember that we gotta live the way we want to live. Because if you're gonna live the way other people want you to live, who's gonna live your life? Yeah? Hillel says in Pirkei Avot, Im en ani li, mi li. If I'm not gonna live my life, who's gonna live that life for me? I gotta live my life. What do I want to do? How many people in a hospice, they asked, what's the number one regret? And the number one regret is they didn't live the life that they wanted to live. Or one of the top regrets. They didn't live the life that they wanted to live. They lived the life that other people told them they should live. And how many people make decisions, very big decisions of lifestyle or who they marry, right? Or different things because of this is what people will say. We have to realize in life, You can't please everyone. We'll never please everyone. Right? What will people say? It's true, but what will I say? What about me? What do I want to do? Right? How many people, they make moves in life because of friends and this and that, and at the end of the day, then you're not living your life. And then they wake up one day to find that their friends that they lived their whole life because of are not even there for them when they need. Yeah? You have to remember in life, we have to realize that the ones that love you will love you no matter what. Right? A real friend will respect your decision. And if they're not going to respect you, then with friends like them, who needs enemies? Right? The ones that love you will respect your decisions. This is a very, very important idea. You know, we spoke last time about a Sefer Torah having 600,000 letters. That's what the Zohar writes. That Israel is an acronym. Yesh shishim ribo otiyot la Torah. There are 600,000 letters in the Torah. Now, I could assure you there are not 600,000 letters in the Torah. There's much, 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 much less. But I think there's a very important idea here that the Zohar is trying to tell us. And that is that every Jew, the 600,000 souls of the Jewish people standing around Har Sinai, every Jew, every soul is a letter in the Torah. Every one of us is a letter. And what that means that we're a letter. We brought a few lessons. Lesson number 1, every letter matters. Every person matters. Every letter must be there. If a letter is missing, the Torah is pasul. Lesson number 2, no two letters can touch. That means that your letter must be your letter. Your mission. What's your purpose? What are you here for? Don't worry about living his mission. They'll live their mission, but you got to live yours. Do your job. What are you here for? What's your letter? Don't overlap somebody. Don't try to be someone else. Don't live their life that they want you to live. Live your life that you want to live. Yeah, you can't live someone else. Got to be you. We were born originals. Don't die as copies. Yeah? What a beautiful line. Don't die a copy. Don't just be like someone else. The biggest mistake I made when I started off in my speaking career is I would look at other speakers and I would try to mimic them and how they stood and their poise and their pause and their talking and their jokes, and everything about a speaker is really who they are. So you try to be like another speaker and it's not funny. And guess what? I would try to imitate other speakers and I wasn't funny. So now I'm just myself and I'm still not funny. But it's okay because at least I'm being myself. You got to be yourself in life. It's very important in life to be who we are, to live the life that we want to live. Don't copy other people. Yeah, I mean, we said this joke so many times, we'll say it again, because jokes you can never get enough of, right? Dad is walking with his son, and they see, he's on the donkey, and his son is walking, and they pass by a group of old men, and they see the father overhears the old men saying to each other, "Unbelievable! This guy is making his little son walk. What kind of dad is this?" So as they turn the corner, the dad says to his son, "All right, son, let's switch. I think it's better if you go on the donkey." So the son goes on the donkey and he's walking, and they pass by a group of old men and they overhear the old men saying, "Where's the respect these days? He's making his old man walk." Okay. They turn the corner and he says, "All right, son, I'm going to get on the donkey with you." And they're both on the donkey, and finally they pass by another group of old men and they overhear the old men saying, where is the compassion? 2 people on a donkey. At least take turns, one at a time. Okay. They turn the corner. He says, "All right, son, let's both get off." And they're both walking next to the donkey, and they pass by a group of old men, and they hear the old men saying to each other, "Look, 3 hamorim." Look, 3 idiots, right? 3 donkeys. You have a donkey, you're not using it. What's the lesson of this joke? Very powerful lesson. That in life, you'll never make everyone happy. You'll never make everyone happy. You can never please everybody. There'll always be sayers. There'll always be people. You go this way, there'll be people who talk. Go that way, people will talk. Right? I saw a very nice line one time. That for the first 20 years of a person's life, he's doing everything because of what people around him are going to say. For the next 20 years of their life, they don't care what people will say. They just do what they want. And then the last 20 years, they realize that no one was talking about them in the first place. Right? No one was talking about you to begin with. Right? So we have to realize that we got to do what we want to do, what we need to do. And ultimately, that's how people will respect us most. So part of placing a king is realizing a king has to be on the people, not for the people, not a puppet. King's got to do what's right. King's got to lead the way. A leader is someone who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. That is what a leader is. That's the idea of what a king was supposed to be according to God's program. But that's not what the people wanted. The people said, we want a puppet. We want a leader who's going to really just follow and do what we want. And that's not how we grow. That's not how we grow. Cannot be spineless. And really, the first king, Shaul, lost his kingship because of this. You know why he lost his kingship? Because when God told him to wipe out all the people and all the animals of Amalek, what did Shaul do? He wiped out only the people, but he kept the animals alive. And when the prophet Shmuel came and says, hey Shaul, why'd you do that? You know what Shaul said? That's what the people wanted. That's what the people wanted. They put pressure. That's what they wanted. And God says, so what if that's what they wanted? That's the whole point. It's not what they want. It's what's right. It's what's right. Don't lower the bar. Raise people. Yeah? In life, there's the bar and there's where we are. And there's a gap. You can do one of two things. You can lower the bar or you can raise the people. And Torah means raising people. That's what the Torah does. That's what the Torah is about. Torah is about lifting people up, making people better, not lowering the standards, not lowering the times. Today's day and age, unfortunately, it's the exact opposite. If this is what people want to do, then we're going to make it okay. And if this is what we want, then it's legal. If this is what people like, then it's fine. And we'll just adopt whatever. We change to the times. But then values and policy are no different than clothing and fashion. It's just a matter of taste. And this decade, this is going to be normal, and next decade, that's going to be normal, and then it's just going to change with the times. And it's like a door, it's just going to move in and out. And you don't build a community like that. You can't build a world like that. It's got to be a choma. We have to know what's right and then get there. We're not born there, that's okay. But at least get there. Don't legalize everything. The moment you make it okay, there's nothing to get to anymore. There's nothing to aspire to anymore. You know, my student once asked me, what's the difference between me and a reform kid? I don't keep Shabbat and he doesn't keep Shabbat. I don't keep kosher, he doesn't keep kosher. Am I no different than reform? I said, no, there's a very big difference between you and reform. He said, what's the difference? I said, because you never changed the bar. You never lowered the bar. You know, if I ask you, how do you feel about Shabbat? Yom Kippur comes, how do you feel about the fact that you didn't keep Shabbat? I feel bad. That's right. You feel bad because you know this is where I should be and this is where I am. And there's a gap and I'm going to get there. The reform don't do that. The reform literally, they change. They lower the bar. They change. It's okay. You don't have to keep Shabbat. So Yom Kippur comes, there's nothing to say sorry about. Sorry that I didn't keep Shabbat. There's no Shabbat to keep. It's okay. That's the difference. It's a huge difference. It's the biggest difference in the world. No one's perfect. No one on this class is perfect as far as I'm concerned, myself included. We all have things that we need to improve and ways to grow, but at least we know where we're wrong. At least we know where we need to change. At least we know where we need to adjust. We have to have a standard. We have to have a bar that we're aspiring to. But if I can't reach the bar and I just lower the bar, that's very, very silly. Because then I'll never grow, I'll never change. If I can't dunk, but I lower the hoop and I make it 6 feet, so now I could dunk, Chazak u'baruch, lower the hoop. What'd you gain in life? You never grow like that. You stay who you are, you stay how you are. That's a recipe for failure. So, says the Kli Akar, that's the whole difference. Is it lanu or alenu? The people wanted a king lanu. They wanted really a puppet. Someone that we'll tell you what you're allowed to tell us. Right? A messenger. That's not how we grow. Yeah, that's not how we grow. Ultimately, a leader has to sometimes know what's right and demand perfection, excellence, build, lift people. Don't lower standards. Don't lower bars. Don't be a follower. Don't be a follower. This is true for any leader, a king, a rabbi, a parent. Imagine every time my kid wants something, I'm just going to say, sure, kiddo. You want to drink? Here, have a beer. You want to smoke? No problem. You want to not do your homework? That's fine. You want to go to sleep by your friend, even though they may be, I don't like that friend. That's okay. If you like them, it's good enough for me, right? Got to be a parent. Can't follow your kid. But Rabbi, I want my kid to like me. It's true. And that's why it's difficult. You got to know when to say yes, when to say no. There's a balance. You got to pick your battles. But we got to be leaders. The Gemara says that when Mashiach comes, there'll be certain signs, certain simanim. Certain simanim to know if Mashiach's coming. And one of the signs is that the faces of the door of the leaders, Pnei Hador, Kipnei Kelev, will be like a dog. What does that mean? People will have faces of dogs. What does that mean? Says the Chafetz Chaim, what that means is a dog, if you ever saw a dog walking, the dog's in front of the owner. You would think the dog's leading the way. But really, every few seconds the dog turns around to make sure he's being followed. In other words, says the Chafetz Chaim, when Mashiach's coming, it'll be a time where the leaders are really following from in front. They're really going to make sure that they have public appeal. They're going to be leading where the polls indicate. They're going to be going in the direction that the trends are going anyways. If this is what everyone likes, then that's what I put on my front page. This is what everyone's doing. Yes, it's okay. That's not a real leader. That's like a dog. You're really following. You're the biggest follower I know. To be a leader means this is what's right and this is where we have to get to one day. Yeah, and that's what it means to be a Jew. Rosh Hashanah, my friends, Elul's coming up. What an amazing opportunity. Like we said, the king's coming down. King's here. But what does that look like for us? What does Rosh Hashanah look like? For some people, Rosh Hashanah, they come with a whole list. God, this year you're going to give me a child, you're going to give me marriage, you're going to give me more money, you're going to give me health, you're going to give me... Whoa! I'm confused. Who's the king and who's the servant? Sound like you're the king to me. Sounds like you're demanding of God. Sounds like you're the king. You're telling him what to give you. That's not what it means to be God a king. God as a king means, God, what do you want from me this year? God, how could I grow this year? God, how could I be better this year? What could I start doing for you this year? Not what can you do for me? Or else we turn God into the servant. Ve'haya Hashem lemelech al kol haaretz. God's a king over us. God doesn't need our approval. Not what are you going to do for me? Right? We got to decide, God, I'm ready to follow your program. Not this is good, this doesn't fit, I'm going to skip that, I'm going to sometimes keep this. No, it means, God, I'm ready to up my game a little bit. Again, I can't be perfect in 1 year, but a little bit. This year, God, I'm going to start doing a little bit more this mitzvah, a little bit better that one. Right? That's how we grow. That's how we grow. That's what it means, Malchuyot. That's what Rosh Hashanah is all about, my friends. So as we approach this amazing month, we have to ask ourselves, are we ready to be Hashem's servants? Are we ready to place God as a king for us? Or do we just want it to be like every other year, right? Where God is on us, right? Where God is on us. Or do we just want God to be for us? God is just our puppet. God is just doing what we want. He's really my servant. I'm the king. I call the shots, right? We should be zocheh very quickly to have Hashem lemelech al kol haaretz, God upon all of the earth. And on that day, Bayom Hahu, yeh Hashem echad, u'shmo echad, God, and His name will be one. Okay, we'll stop over here, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.